All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, glory to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. Double honors to the elders and our apostles of Great Millstone that taught us this truth. And salutations to the hopeful elect that's around the four corners of the globe. Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls God, BAHASHAM is the name. YAHAWASHI, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ and Jehovah. The YAHAWASHI is the Holy Spirit. I'm the brother I will love you with the GMS Chicago branch out here in Chicago. Come back at you with another lesson. Now, Lord willing, I hope this lesson be edifying to whoever it may reach. I'm just going deaf, talk about this movie, they clone Tyrone. You know, the title might seem comical, it might be seen, as for laughs, but this movie was a very spiritual movie, for those that can look, with that spiritual eye, you know. This was a very spiritual movie. It goes into the inner workings of what Esau Edom does, to Jake on a daily basis, you know. And it follows three main characters. You got the hustler, you got the pimp, you got the harlot, you know. I'm not gonna spoil, too much, but I just wanted to touch up, on a few scenes, in the movie, just go into some into some precepts, because this movie really exposes the inner workings of Esau Edom and how Esau Edom gets down, how he controls the masses of our people, and ultimately how he basically produced niggas, you know. But let's get into it. I'm gonna start off with this. This is the book of Job 9-24. It says, "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" Right? The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Who is the wicked? Esau Edom. You know? Just to prove, further who the wicked is, you can read Malachi 1-4. They shall call them the border of wickedness. And that's who Esau Edom is. He's the wicked. The earth is given unto him. He controls all, based, he controls every resource, everything in a society. He controls the governments, you know. He controls what you consume. He controls what you watch it. He controls what you watch. He controls how, basically, your everyday, life. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Going back into the movie, they cloned Tyrone. They was basically, just to touch up on a few scenes, was a scene where basically, they were controlling people, by the way of the food, you know, hair products, different things that, Jake used on a daily basis. Esau Edom, got his hand in it to basically, turn Jake out. Because ultimately in that movie, it shows you how Esau Edom produced niggas. That's how we know that this man is the wicked. So I'm read this again. It's the book of Job 9-24. Says, "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" Right? If the so-called white man isn't the devil, who is? Who is? And like I said, even going, to the facets, of the Christian church, they went into everything in this movie, But let's continue. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon 2:10. It says, "Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age." Right? Because Esau Edom oppress us on a daily basis. They oppress, the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. They oppress us in every, in every way of our life. Whether it be our food, you can it was a scene in the movie where, those Jakes was eating chicken, it basically what controlled their emotions. They were laughing, uncontrollably, because Esau wants to control us through the food, through the music. Through the music was a big one too. Controlling how Jake acts. So Wisdom of Solomon 2:10 is, "Let us oppress the poor and righteous man." Right? That's what those Edomites have done, to Jake in that movie. But in a subtle sense. And what I mean by that is, a lot of Jakes didn't even know they were being oppressed. Esau was doing it so subtle, It says, "Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age." All right, I'm gonna get a precept to back this up, because what it talks about in Deuteronomy the 28th chapter. They shall show favor they shall not show favor to the old nor the young. And this is what Esau Edom does. This man is a pure, monster. And everything that we seen in the movie, They Clone Tyrone, it basically shows you that. They do a lot of things behind the scenes to oppress our people. But let's continue. To get that precept, let's get that Salaki, let me get it. Yeah, going into Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, I believe it's the 54th verse. Could be wrong. Let's see, can I actually get it? Let's see. Yep, Deuteronomy 28 and 49. It says, the Lord Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Right, going into the eagle, going into, into Esau, you know. When we were brought over here on cargo slave ships, that's Esau Edom's MO, the eagle. It says, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young, because same thing was happening to that movie. They were oppressing every one single one of our people. Whether you were young or you were old. They were using, the music, they were using the food to oppress our people, like I mentioned before. You know, so Esau Edom, it doesn't matter, like I said, if you're old or you're young, Esau Edom is going to oppress you and treat you all the same, treat us all the same, you know? And this is how the devil operates. Devil means deceiver, you know? And then going back into the movie, going to the the scene where basically, you had this Edomite, who was undercover, playing the role of a DJ, using the music to basically, you know, turn up Jake's emotions to actually make them turn on each other, you know? And this is what Esau Edom does. He does things strategically, to destroy our people, you know? Because Esau, the thing with Esau is he don't have to, you know, uh, basically he uses certain tactics to basically put our people one up against, one against another, and basically in nefarious ways. For example, I mentioned the music, I mentioned them weaponizing the food. I mentioned them, weaponizing, religion. Religion was another one, in that movie. They use these different things to, to destroy our people, old and young. They use it different methods to destroy our people, you know. But let's go back. I actually want to get that Proverbs. I don't want to spoil the movie entirely. I just want to touch up on a few scenes. This is the book of Proverbs. Let's see what verse 15 say actually. This is the book of Proverbs 21 and 16. It says, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. And right, in that movie, I actually looked at it in this perspective. When in a perspective where, the hoe, the or the harlot, the pimp, and the hustler, I basically put them in the shoes of the elect, because what they ultimately knew what was going on, and basically they basically had those spiritual goggles on, you know. I was looking at it at, in that basically in that way. When I was watching the movie, I put them in the shoes of the elect, and everybody else, they were blinded. They were in that congregation of the dead, you know, basically buying into all these different things that Esau Edom had set before them. What did the harlot, the pimp, and the hustler do? They basically knew what was going on, you know. Let me read this again. It's the book of Proverbs 21 and 16. It says, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. And right, our people as a whole is in that congregation of the dead. You know what? They're in that dead mindset, or that dead state. It's being what? Spiritually dead. You can read about that in Revelations the 11th chapter. Their dead body shall lie in the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Where also our Lord was crucified, loosely paraphrasing. So our people was in that spiritually dead mindset. But these three, I actually put it in, in the shoes of the elect, looking at the movie in a spiritual, having a spiritual eye towards the movie, you know. Those was the three that basically understood what was going on, while the West were, were in that spiritually dead mindset. Let's get Get this. This is the book of 2 Corinthians 2 and 11. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Right? Speaking about, us and its truth, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices because YAHAWASHI has equipped us with the mindset, the knowledge, wisdom, understanding to know what this devil do behind the scenes. To give us, that eye, to understand what's going on. Even going, relating back to the movie, as those three Jakes, the hustler, the pimp, and the Harlow, as they was going around, they were learning certain things, about what was going on, and what they were being more wise about the situation, knowing more about what was going on, to the point where they weren't ignorant, they weren't dumb to what Esau Edom was doing to them. Like I said, going back to the scene where they were eating the chicken, they realized, that something was wrong with the chicken. They end up casting it to the side, you know. So at that point, they wasn't ignorant, to what was going on, because they fully were aware of what was going on. They fully were, was aware what the food was doing to them, you know. Same thing with us in this truth. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices because what? Yahweh Shai has equipped us, with the wisdom, the knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and the mindset to understand what Esau Edom do behind the scene, you know? Let's see, this is the book of Second Address 2. I said Second Address. Second Thessalonians 2, because I'm going to get that second address in a second. Second Thessalonians 2 and I'm gonna start at 3. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. And right, the falling away first happened when we lost our nationality. When we fell as a nation, when we forgot who we were. That's when the falling away happened, when we lost our heritage. It says, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Right? Who is the man of sin? That man of sin is Esau Edom, the simple plain white man. Let me actually go to the blue letter Bible. And I'm gonna read that Second Thessalonians 2 again. I want to get that word perdition. Because it was a very great movie, Let's see, Second Thessalonians 2 and 3. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. And like I said before, that already happened when we lost our heritage, when we were brought down, by Esau Edom, and we lost our heritage, we lost who we were as a people. It says, and the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Right? We know that to be Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, but let's look into that word perdition, G684. It says destroying, utter destruction. It says a perishing, ruin, destruction. Right. So what? Destruction. Right. So Esau Edom is that what? Is that nation. The self-proclaimed white race. So let me actually read it again. Bear with me for a second. This is the book of Second Thessalonians 2 and 3. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Right, the son of destruction. As we know to be what? Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white race. And what do Esau Edom do? They destroy. That's why the earth is upside down right now. That's why our people is destroyed, because of the doings of Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white race. And what? He was being revealed. These devils was being revealed in that movie. All the Jakes started to realize, that, they were under that illusion. What ended up happening? I'm going to get that second address 6 in a second. But ultimately, what? Those Jakes, basically, came together, and basically understood what the problem was. They end up, spoiler alert, they end up, rushing the lab and just basically destroying everything. It says, verse 4 says, who opposes and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Because Esau Edom has that God complex, And that's what, it was basically the plan in that movie that the so-called white race, had that God complex, Starting with these elites, they have that God complex. They want to control everything. They want to be just like the Most High, you know. And we know that they want to, they want to complete that agenda by ushering in the sea hip. It says, verse 5, it says, remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and now you know what withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time, right? And the devil is being revealed in his time. And we know the devil to be Esau Edom. Devil means deceiver. He was the one, going back into Revelations, the 20th chapter, he was the one that deceived the whole world, after he was released for that little season, right? We're at the end of that little season. When Esau Edom got back into power, he went on to deceive the world. Same thing as he did in the movie. He was deceiving everybody. But those three, the hoe or the harlot, the pimp, and the hustler, they basically they broke out the matrix, It says, for the mystery of iniquity does already work. Only he who only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. Right. Who needs to be taken out of the way? Esau Edom, the simple plain white man, because nothing is functioning right. Our people are destroyed because of this man. We can't ultimately, this man ultimately has to be brought down for the earth, to actually, to experience real peace. This man has to be taken out of the way, It says, verse 8, it says, and then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Right. The Lord is using the prophets to actually, proclaim this word. That's how this nation is being brought down. The Lord is setting up his prophets, to bring the word out. Because every time we bring out the word, this society crumbles, every time we bring out the word. And it says what? And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, right? Because ultimately, YAHAWASHI is going to be the one to take this devil, completely out of power, And like I said, I was looking at this movie in a spiritual, in a spiritual, another spiritual way, how I seen those three as the elect, and the rest of the people that were blinded as the 2/3, those three, basically, bringing the truth to light, basically, and everybody else following suit. Which I'm finna get into the end of that movie. And like I said again, once again, spoiler alert, because I'm gonna talk about the ending, whatnot. Basically a scene closer to the end of the movie, So let me get this. So basically, how those Jakes teamed up. All they ass was wicked, but looking at it as in the spiritual eye, how the Jakes teamed up at the end, to basically come together. How they stormed the lab and basically brought Esau down. Tearing up his shit, basically doing to them what they have done to them, doing to them what they have, have, I don't know how to word it, but, basically putting Esau Edom through the same thing they went through, This is the book of 2 Ezra 6 and 7. It says, then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? Right, talking about, when it's going to be the end of all this, all this madness, because we're at the end right now. We're at the end of Esau Edom's rulership, It says, he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. Right, going back to the account of Genesis, the 25th chapter, how, when both Jacob and Esau were born, Esau came out first. And what Jacob, had held the heel of Esau, which is what symbolic of Esau being brought down, being brought down. And ultimately, how is Esau going to be brought down? By the Heavenly Father, YAHAWAH Shem YAHAWASHI. It says, verse 9, it says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Yeah, Esau is the end of the world. Going back to the scene I was just talking about, Jacob was going in there, fucking up Esau's shit, destroying equipment, destroying what Esau Edom built, that little laboratory, how they was using, basically using that lab to actually control, what was going on, in Jake's neighborhood. Which involved what? The food, the music, what they worship. And what did Jake do? They went in there and they smashed their shit up. They did. It was one scene, and when they were doing that, where Jake put an Edomite under the mind control that they were put under, just basically saying that the roles are being reversed. He says, for Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of that followeth, right? Because ultimately they end up taking over that lab. And you have to look at it in the spiritual aspect. What? Because ultimately everything is going to be turned, it's going to be flipped. We're going to be in power and these devils are going to be taken out of power. As the scriptures say, the last shall be first and the first shall be last, loosely paraphrasing, And these are the times we're coming into. We're experiencing the downfall of Esau Edom, in this kingdom. And in that movie, they cloned Tyrone, was going into, a few things, well, a lot of things, Salakia, of what Esau Edom does behind the scenes, you know? And just to say it, end it all back, all brothers should watch that movie, because what? It really shows, what Esau Edom really does behind the scenes. We already knew, based on prophecy in the scriptures, the knowledge, wisdom, understanding that YAHAWASHI, gave us to, discern these things, we already knew, but, it's really a good movie to watch, to really look what Esau Edom does behind the scenes. So with that being said, I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to end up by giving all praise and glory to YAHAWAH, BaHaShem, YAHAWASHI, BaHaShem, Rakakwadash. I want us to the elders and our apostles, a great millstone that taught us this truth. Salutations to the hopefully elect that's around the four corners of the globe. Lord, I hope this lesson was edifying. Until next time, Wa Ababa Shalom.